Hi, everybody. I'm Matthew Gardner, Signature's Associate Artistic Director, and welcome to SigWorks Monday Night New Play Reading Series. New work at Signature Theater is sponsored by Dan and Gloria Logan. Each season, we select 4 new plays by DC area playwrights to have readings of on select Monday nights. This season, we are featuring new plays by Rahima R. Rice, Audrey Cephaly, Jaron Davis, and tonight, a new play by Andrew Rosendorf called One Shot. The reading will be 2 hours long. The play is 3 acts, and we will have a brief minute-long pause between Act 1 and Act 2. And at the end, Andrew will join me on camera to have a conversation about the piece with all of you. One Shot is set in McLean, Virginia in 1999 in a video rental store. You all remember those, I'm sure. This one is described in the script as well-loved, cared for, a safe haven. So here is One Shot by Andrew Rosendorf.
Fade in, on the shadows, on the calm, of the inside of a closed video rental store. There's a piece that belies the adventure, the romance, the horror, the worlds, found in each story, each VHS tape, and belies the racism, the misogyny, the homophobia, found in each VHS tape. The only light streams through from the rising sun, shining through the large main window that faces out to a parking lot, to Chain Bridge Road. We're in McLean, Virginia, the blue part of Virginia that carries the state despite being surrounded by red, and Confederate flags 20 minutes, if that, south. Our eye catches something spray painted on the outside of the window. TOGAF. And there's a small swastika underneath it. From the parking lot, Martin heads to the locked entrance, fumbling with the keys. He's wearing a backpack and holding a stool with wheels that have some straps on it. It's weird, amateur, and under his arm is tucked a bulky video camera. He's 18, Latinx, a high school senior, grown up in the suburbs of McLean since he was 5, which is pretty white, even if so close to Washington, D.C. He's focused on unlocking the doors as David approaches from the parking lot. He's 18, white, wearing a box office video polo and a Jurassic Park ball cap on his head. It's much like one you'd expect Steven Spielberg to wear. David approaches behind Martin, who doesn't seem to know he's there, because he's so focused on the lock, and we want him to notice because we don't know who David is yet, and if he's the one who, that graffiti, if we should be afraid of him. And maybe we only figure out it wasn't David when David notices the window. TOGAF and the swastika. David walks towards it, reading it and rereading it and rereading, staring and staring and staring. Martin gets the door unlocked and looks over, seeing David staring and staring and staring and staring. Martin stands next to him and reads and rereads and rereads. Scene 2. A little later, Martin is inside the video store setting up the camera, placing it on the stool with wheels, and we see him wrap the straps around the camera, holding it in place, having made a makeshift dolly. David is outside, a Safeway grocery bag and bottle of distilled white vinegar next to him. He's wearing thick yellow cleaning gloves and dipping a rag into a bucket. He takes the rag and starts rubbing over the tea, but it does nothing. The graffiti isn't disappearing. David stops. He looks around. at Chainbridge Road, at McLean, at the cars going by heading to work, at probably some people walking a dog, at maybe a couple holding hands, at no one who has stopped or offered to help, or you'd think this was a flat tire on a highway. David takes off his Jurassic Park cap, revealing a yarmulke. Martin has finished securing the camera and sees David without his ball cap on, and that's not something David would normally do. And that's when David puts his ball cap back on, covering up, rehiding the yarmulke. He grabs the rag again, not knowing Martin has noticed anything. David keeps trying to get the spray paint off. And David rubs and rubs more and more vigorously, almost aggressively, causing the window to make noise. Martin walks over to the window as David keeps trying and trying. TOGAF, the swastika just isn't disappearing. David stops, exhausted. The two friends look at one another through the window, almost as if they were reflecting back at each other. David comes inside, heading to the back.
Vinegar sounded like a... Thought it'd work?
It did at Temple.
And David goes to the back. Martin turns on the light to the store, causing the shadows to leave, replaced by the magic of industrial lighting that effectively removes all the mystery, all the possibility that's in a dormant video rental store. Well, all of it before TOGAF, the swastika, shattered it. We see that all the movies are VHS. DVDs, DivX, Laserdiscs don't have a home here. They're not welcome. Near the checkout counter is a shelving end with employee video recommendations. And amidst it all, there's the classic section, the pièce de résistance, full of posters and images. Great care has been taken with it, and it's larger than it should be, being no one really rents classics. But it's almost as if someone worships at the altar of James Dean, of Montgomery Clift, of Rock Hudson, of Tab Hunter, of Franklin Pangborn, of William Haynes, of Tallulah Bankhead, of Marlene Dietrich, of Cary Grant, of Greta Garbo. David comes out from the back.
We don't have much time. Get your box office video shirt on.
Martin quickly takes off his shirt as David gets the camera ready. Martin searches through his backpack, moving things around. We catch a glimpse of the Time magazine with Ellen on the cover. Yep, I'm gay. Worn down, having been read and reread. 2 years old. David dollies the camera, recording Martin searching for his box office video shirt.
Leave it home. Here, use mine.
David takes his polo off, tosses it to Martin. David puts on Martin's shirt as Martin puts on his.
How's the dolly working?
Pretty good.
Prettier than me?
Martin kisses David. It lasts briefly because David backs out of it, which isn't something David would normally do, but TOGAF, swastika, are lingering and lingering.
Sorry.
David gives Martin a quick kiss back, as if that'll make up for it.
So we can get in one take before we open?
You really want to film right?
Why wouldn't I?
Because
That doesn't have anything to do with when Mr. Cross gets in, then just go to your mark.
Martin does, standing in an aisle.
I don't really know what I'm doing.
What we talked about, okay? Rolling.
Martin waits until David points at him. They have a routine, a system of how they film. Martin starts walking down the aisle, pulling out a video, reading it, then putting it back. David follows with a makeshift dolly, occasionally circling around him. We can tell David has a vision, or at least wants the camera movement to call attention to itself, though he'd never say that's what he's doing. Martin walks through the store, shelving some things in the return bin, fixing some tapes out of alphabetical order. It's all kind of why are we watching this? And that's what Martin is feeling. Why are we filming this?
Can we stop?
We're gonna have to reset now. It was going well.
But is this really the way that we want to?
We're just discovering how it lives off the page.
We don't have a script.
We have
An outline that doesn't even have 3 acts.
it's a short.
There's no all is lost moment.
There's an all is lost.
There's no plot.
Now you're concerned about.
I was concerned about other things when you were talking about, and I thought you'd see that there's no plot.
Plot is overrated.
Plot isn't
The
overrated.
film isn't about the plot. It's about. If you want more plot, we can write more plot. It can be whatever you want. But the whole movie is one long take.
It just feels like the director's showing off.
Was the player?
You're not Robert Altman.
You pain me.
It doesn't feel ingrained to the story.
And Altman's felt ingrained to
Tim Robbins is bouncing from meeting to meeting on the lot. And yeah, it felt earned, and then it ends. And then the rest of the movie isn't like that. This just feels like a gimmick.
It's not. It isn't supposed to be exciting. It's capturing what life is like. Banal, rote, fade in, and it's just this. Shelving and shelving and shelving, the sum of a life. People walking their dog, driving by when there's been an act of. It's not supposed to be fancy. Not like the rom-com I sent to NYU or the undocumented Guatemalan one you submitted. This is much quieter, subtler than those. That's the vision. A day in the life, your character's life. And I do hear you, so let's add more character. You can be whoever you want. Maybe you have a love interest and keep missing calls from him, whoever. Or it's your mom's birthday in Mexico and you need to call her like you do every year, but haven't yet because work keeps getting in the way. And so you call at the end of the day and you're helping the last customer and you're about to be done to lock up when someone comes in and shoots you in the face. Yeah, he doesn't steal any money. We don't see any tattoos. We just know he's white and a man. All is lost. And there's no particular reason it happened and don't know why it happened. We'll never know why it happened. It just does. Random, senseless, and that is the point. Fade out. And
suddenly Martin gives David a hug, which surprises David, but he leans into it, and it lasts a long time.
Okay. You get the impact of that, right? You're better with story. We'll work on that.
I brought a candle for his. I don't remember what it's.
Yard site.
That. David?
It's nice. A nice thought.
No. Yes, but no.
Martin points to the window where Charles, 60s, African American, is staring outside at TOGAF at the swastika. Scene 3. A little later, outside, Charles has a window scraper going at the spray paint. He's wearing the rental store uniform, except instead of a polo, he wears a custom-made button-down box office video shirt. You'd find him every weekend in DuPont Circle at the art house theaters in DC. He's someone who still carries around a handkerchief to blow his nose and then puts it back in his pocket. This is his video rental store. Inside, David and Martin are reshelving VHS tapes.
Shortcuts.
Tim Robbins.
The player.
You're very focused on.
If you don't,
Should one of us go help Mr. Cross?
if you're stalling,
Peter Gallagher.
that's who you want to. Maybe one of us should go help.
If you're stuck on
While you were sleeping,
Bill Pullman,
I liked While You Were Sleeping like a lot for such a hokey. It has a beautiful movie moment when Bill Pullman puts that ring in the. I have to ask you a question as the family watches and it's all happening in a transit booth.
You are such a romantic.
I'm not. Just wish that we could have a movie moment where the world doesn't care.
The world always cares. Two characters in love just don't. That's what makes them work.
I don't know if that's. I almost gave you Malice.
There's no movie moment in Malice.
Has a great twist.
Who is God? I am God.
That's not the line.
No, it's close.
You ask me if I have a God complex. Let me tell you something. I am God.
Oh my, that's what I said.
It's not what you. And Independence Day from Bill Pullman. We can try the one shot again after work. And I recorded that episode of Dawson's Creek. So
I think I'm gonna hate it.
he's at least not saying it at an airport into a microphone.
Okay, that was funny. This is like, I like Dawson's. I just wish it had more brown people. Any brown people. You think that it was set in McLean. Closest person to me on that show is Joshua Jackson because of his dark hair, dark eyes, and also they haven't given any hint that Jack is. It's sort of out of nowhere.
Chris Smith is hot.
Yeah, I suppose. No Tay Diggs.
No one is Tay Diggs but Tay Diggs.
He can help me get my groove back.
Standing right here. Yeah, you definitely haven't lost your. And Tay Diggs isn't playing a character who is gay. Well, the guy was gay in real life, just not in the movie.
You think Kerr Smith is gay?
I read he wasn't.
What do you think his reaction was? Think he was concerned at getting typecast, or that he first said no because people might believe that he's like when Burt Reynolds said he'd love to star in The Front Runner but couldn't because everyone will think he's gay, and since he'd lost all that weight, they think he had AIDS too, like Rock Hudson.
Maybe. I mean, plenty of straight people play gay, win awards, like Philadelphia. You're still on Independence Day.
Well, they couldn't get a straight guy to hide under the desk and die during the alien invasion.
Harvey Fierstein said yes.
To that and Mrs. Doubtfire.
What other parts is he being offered?
Will Smith.
6 Degrees of Separation.
Talk about playing gay.
But is he? I heard he forced the director to not show that lip lock, to just show the back of his head that it was Denzel's advice.
Well, wouldn't that be homophobic? Both of them homophobic?
Or just concerned about any slip of an image?
I could give you Cleo King.
Who?
Like the only other person of color in 6 Degrees. But I'll give you.
You can give me
Stalker Channing.
I think I'm
Stalker Channing.
gonna go help Mr. Cross.
Oh, that won't get you out of. You're stumped on Stalker Channing.
What? Mr. Cross needs help.
David goes outside, takes the window scraper from Charles. Charles comes inside, heads towards the employee recommendation section, starts removing VHS recommendations from another employee, Luke.
A slow Saturday morning.
It's the Blockbuster that just opened. People will come back. We're local. Give better customer service. Have movie nights. Been around for a long time. People love us.
Not all people. Maybe if we started to carry DVDs, that help? Not
There's
that
never
is
been-
about-
There has never been a Laserdisc, a DivX in here, and there'll never be a DVD. We're film, always, and people will come back.
Martin notices that Charles has removed Luke's nameplate from the shelf.
Luke's not working here anymore?
He's gone Gregory Anton to my Paula Alquist. Gaslight.
Oh,
Tell me you've seen Gaslight. Oh, my heart. Youth. If you want a classic, good luck renting that at.
Charles grabs Gaslight off the shelf.
It's George Cukor, but feels very Alfred Hitchcock meets Otto Preminger. It's juicy. And our dear beloved former manager Luke is like the husband, a traitor, because he took a job at Blockbuster.
Oh,
And I'm going to have to replace you pretty soon, too.
oh. I haven't decided if I.
Martin goes quiet, going back to reshelving, as Charles stops reshelving.
You haven't decided? You want to stick around here? Is it your grandparents? At some point, they don't even want you to get a driver's license. They're very protective. And I'd be too if I was taking care of my daughter's kid. If I had children, grandchildren. But they can't expect you to stick around and... Did they see your film?
It's not my grandparents. They don't even know that I applied for the scholarship or made that film. If they knew that they wouldn't be happy. New York is very far away, is all.
It's 3 hours. David doesn't want you to go?
He doesn't know. He hasn't heard from NYU yet, so.
You should tell him.
But if I'm not gonna go, I don't know that I want to go without him.
Would he go without you?
It kind of feels like I got it for. Maybe they needed to fill a quota, not because of my talent, really our talent. It was the first movie I ever took the lead on, but he helped me.
It's a beautiful film. And David couldn't have... The research you did on the undocumented community, drawing on your own heritage, you show a real voice. How you explore what it's like to have your mom so far. What is sacrificed for citizenship? And you made me understand a community that, I don't agree with them coming here, taking jobs they should do it legally. My parents, their parents worked hard to.
Charles points to the graffiti.
Now these people are stirring this up. Your film does what all good films should. Shines a light.
But I haven't made as many solo projects as David. Or been at it as long. He was like 6, blowing up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joes. He's the ideas man. He's the cameraman. He's the real filmmaker. He can spout quotes that he loves film. He loves film in a way that I couldn't. He can't afford to go without any.
You?
He's been through so much. The synagogue, his dad. He should be the one to go.
Hasn't he always been the one to go?
Charles points to the employee recommendations, one of Martin's movies, Deep Impact.
Why did you choose Deep Impact?
What does that have to do with?
Well, why are you recommending it? Most people your age would say Armageddon. Why aren't you?
Because Michael Bay is the worst. The absolute. He should have stayed in music videos, all those shots objectifying women, camera flares just for the sake of. I mean, The Exorcist didn't make me queasy, but that does. That's why. It's silly. I went to see an asteroid destroy the world, but every time Morgan Freeman showed up as president, I would cry. I never cried so much it was like the first time I'd ever seen I mean, he's black, but you get so used to barely seeing yourself. For the first times you do, the few times you do, it's drug dealers, or crack addicts, broken families, criminals, motherless children, or a grandmother speaking English poorly without examining why they speak English poorly, or don't even speak English at all because of trying to hold on to something that they left behind. They wouldn't have left it behind if they wouldn't have left behind their family if they didn't have to. America is like black and white. If you're something else, then so black is me, not white. And how often do we get to see someone who looks like us as president?
What if you got to be the one making the movie? Who could be the president then? Or who could love who in The Wedding Singer, Can't Hardly Wait, One Fine Day, French Kiss?
She's all that. Freddie Prinze Jr. is close, but he tries to be white. Like, I read that he's going to play Fred in Scooby-Doo.
There wasn't any scholarship for me, like you've got. When I was your age, I wanted to be a director. But there wasn't, there was Oscar Michaud and there was George Cukor. Gaslight, a woman's director. But there wasn't any black woman's director. You understand? Understand what I'm saying? I love all these classics, whether they're politically correct or not. It's history. Not in the way the Confederate flag is, but Morgan Freeman isn't. I cried too. Seeing him is. You know, it's really silly. I never had children, but
Charles indicates all the VHS tapes in the store.
you and David, I would have killed for a scholarship. There'll be plenty of opportunities for David. He'll be just fine. Someone like him will be just fine. But you might just get one chance at this. You can't let it pass you by. And if he feels the same way you feel about him, he'll tell you that. So you should tell him.
Tell me what?
David has come into the video store.
That Luke has gone all Gregory Anton.
He's calling you a traitor from Gaslight.
Luke went to Blockbuster.
Oh, you should have gone with Lando Calrissian or Fredo Corleone or Burke.
Charles brings Gaslight to David.
Yeah. You both should watch it.
It's old. I'm not really into the old. Not many people are into the old. There's a reason it's just hanging on the shelf and there are 4 copies. That seems... I've never once seen someone rent it.
See how very apropos my reference was if you watched it. Cukor is a master. Sylvia Scarlett, Our Betters, Gone with the Wind, which he directed until Clark Gable said he wouldn't work with a fairy. And you know the rumors about Gable. Cukor knew how to make a film. They were all very, well, you know, subversive. Production codes and all. And Catholics. And being seen as less than.
Seems like we've really made progress.
It's your loss, really. Like how you seem to have lost your shirt.
Oh, left it at home.
If you go to NYU, they're going to make you watch all these old films.
I'll watch them then.
So you've heard?
Mr. Cross,
Both of us will hear any day now. And in a few years, you'll have posters of our films up around here. And you'll have something to talk about other than Cuker.
Well, you'll have to let me know as soon as you hear. And I think Gaslight will be the movie tonight.
Is anyone even going to come?
Get out the chairs. People will come.
like Field of Dreams.
That's not the quote.
Sure, it's the quote.
If you build it, he will come.
Oh,
I'll be in the back if you need me, boys. And grab an extra shirt from there, David. We aren't Philistines.
Do you want me to keep working at... I wasn't making much progress with...
David points to the graffiti.
It's going to take days. I tried to with vinegar. I was hoping you wouldn't have to see, but we can put some posters over it if you want.
Leave it. Not giving anyone the satisfaction. Suppose there's solace in that not being a different slur. That's at least progress.
I wouldn't call swastika progress. That's like taking us back to the Nazis. You'd hope they'd have some kind of new symbol, not rely on old ones, and have the decency to spell it right. Like, how is that representing them as bigots? You think they want to be seen as educated.
those two G's, they're important.
So important. Like the two G's in the N-word, otherwise it's just a river in Africa. Are you going to report it?
Why would I? I'll be in the back.
Charles heads into the back.
Why wouldn't you want to report it? I'd report it. My mom would report it.
My grandparents wouldn't. The difference between you and they don't trust the, especially as immigrants, and me with being.
You think this could have been Luke?
Luke.
He likes Mel Gibson movies, and something's never sat well with me with Mel Gibson.
I don't think it was.
You think it's talking about us?
It's not plural.
One of us, or just Mr. How would you even say? It looks like toe gaff from here.
Yeah.
But out there, 1G. Fag out. Fuck out.
Fagot. Fagot.
Fag out.
Fagot.
Fag out.
Hey.
Charles pops out of the back, having heard them. He watches, listens for a moment, then goes back, not saying anything.
Fagot.
Fag ut.
Fag. Fag up.
Faggot.
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 Faggot. Faggot.
I'm sorry about earlier. Pulling away when...
David kisses Martin. They break from the kiss, looking at each other.
Faggot.
Faggot.
Scene 4. Early evening. A screen is pulled down as gaslight plays. Martin and David watch, sitting next to each other in chairs. Charles sits in the back. The rest of the chairs they've pulled out are empty, as no one else has come. Charles gets up, stops the movie.
We were enjoying that.
Like,
What?
really enjoying it.
We'll close early tonight. I'll lock the door behind me. If there's any sign of trouble, have fun filming. Be safe. Discreet.
Charles leaves, locking the outside door as David and Martin watch him go, unsure of what to do. Scene 5. Later. The lights are off. The candle is lit. David holding it as Martin stands next to him. David's ball cap is off, the yarmulke visible again.
Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'vitpa'ar, v'vitroman, v'vitnasei, v'yithadar, v'vitale, v'vitalal, shemei dekudesha, b'rik hu, ve'ela min kol b'rachata, v'sharata, tush b'chata, v'nechemata, damiran ba'ama, v'mru, amen.
Amen.
Yaheh shlamaraба min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu va'al kol Israel, v'imru, amen.
Amen.
Ose shalom bimorav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
It's supposed to be a minyan, 10 people.
Not like anyone showed up for Gaslight. But the movies are having thousands of people here.
Weird doing it in the shadow of. We're not in the ghetto in Nazi. That swastika can suck it.
It totally chose the wrong Holy Grail. Your mom doing something?
Probably going on a date. Only been a year. She wouldn't have. She never was the one who, and she's not really into God anymore.
David acknowledges his yarmulke.
She was going to throw this. They don't need to be buried like a satyr, but he was wearing this when he. It feels like it should be buried. He wore it better than me. Out in the open, and people would. Just always made me. That's courage. Now I go to services, bulletproof glass, key cards, guards. Being Jewish is expensive. And that's not really some way to, if they'd been there. He wanted me to go, but I had a shift and always just wanted to be here.
Maybe that was God watching out for you.
Shall we?
David puts the ball cap back on and pops in a VHS tape from behind the checkout desk. We immediately hear I Don't Want to Wait by Paula Cole, the theme to Dawson's Creek. It starts to play on the screen as Martin and David sit next to each other on the ground. Martin curls David into him, being the bigger spoon, and they sit like that a moment, in a cuddle watching the credits. Martin takes off David's cap and starts to run his fingers through David's hair and play with the yarmulke, which he's done many times, when David gets up. He walks over to the window, he looks out, and then he looks around. He grabs some scotch tape from the checkout counter and then some posters that are for sale. He unrolls one and starts placing it over the window, taping it up. Martin gets up, pausing Dawson's Creek with the remote. David finishes taping the poster and grabs another.
David?
It's not bulletproof. Tinted. I can't kiss you at school, at home, at your place, outside. I can't even hold your hand. This is like where we can. We've always been able to. It's the only safe that used to be the only safe. Okay?
David starts taping up another one as Martin reaches out and holds a corner of the poster. Scene 6. A little later. The window is covered by posters. The outside world isn't going to penetrate this store. Even if we know TOGAF, the swastika, are still there. Martin and David are curled up as the credits to Dawson's Creek roll.
Are you crying?
No.
You so are.
Shut up.
Oh, you Or cry gay tears.
Tears aren't gay. They can't be gay. They don't have a sexuality.
Oh.
Tears are just tears. Like the ones you cried over Deep Impact.
Oh.
Deep Impact, for God's sake.
Oh.
I'm not the one who walks around with the Time magazine of Ellen.
David reaches into Martin's bag and pulls it out.
This has got to be overdue by now.
It's not. I didn't actually. I just stuck it under my shirt.
If someone had caught you,
I wasn't thinking about. I know that now. How bad it could have been.
is it any? I got my dad to rent me Showgirls, but I wasn't going to ask him to, and I wasn't going to. It would have been like asking him to rent me Jeffrey or Get Real. I mean, I've only ever seen the cover. I should have thought of sticking it under my shirt.
You can borrow it if you. Here.
Martin hands the Time magazine to David.
But you cried at Dawson's Creek, so that'll make you sob and sob and sob. That story killed her career. I wonder if she ever felt like someone was going to out her, so she did it herself.
I hope she did it, so there was someone else, or really someone we could all look to. What a shitty thing to do, out someone. That's like the
worst. Gregory Anton to Paula Aukist. Oh.
Come here.
David kisses Martin, and they start to make out and wrestle flirtatiously.
I'm stronger than you.
Nah, people call me muscles for a reason.
Who calls you that?
Lots and lots of people.
I could take you.
Don't be so sure.
They lie there next to each other.
To think, if my mom hadn't spent all that money, put me on a bus with someone I thought was my cousin, but a smuggler, we would never have met. I don't know what I would have. When I went to get my driver's license and that DMV employee told me the green card wasn't, told me to leave. She could have called the. My grandparents got so angry. Well, how was I supposed to know? They never told me I was. My grandpa got angrier than when I told him I was. Mr. Cross was so nice to me. Mr. Cross was nice to take me in for those few weeks. You can't be gay in Guatemala. Talk about a blessing. Being here in this country. 2 guys were killed today for being gay in Guatemala. It didn't make news. Just the message boards. A cop was involved. My grandpa did ask me last year about Matthew Shepard when it happened. If I had seen the news, because that made the news. Probably because he was white. Maybe you can't be gay here now either. I've never had to hide from you. You know my secrets. All my secrets. David Goldstein. And I can't imagine my life without. You think I'm pretty is all.
You think Jack is going to die now? They always kill the gay one.
Or the person of color.
Or maybe he'll get AIDS. Die from AIDS.
Oh. Or commit suicide now that he knows he's gay. Or has AIDS.
Or become a meth addict.
Or be the killer.
Silence of the Lambs.
Cruising.
Or someone is going to blackmail Jack like they would have with Ellen.
Oh, he's out now, so not sure.
If the show's on for another 10 years, he'll be like running for office. And he might be out, but he won't be out to the public.
Like Rock Hudson.
Or Cary Grant.
John Travolta.
Tom Cruise?
Ricky Martin.
I'm an Enrique man myself.
But he's not.
Don't dash my hopes.
Ricky Martin is like the only Latino who is like me. So Enrique can suck it.
There's Wilson Cruz.
My so-called life. Swoon. Abraham Lincoln.
We're doing celebrities.
Well, he's kind of a.
Cole Porter, Anthony Perkins, Montgomery Clift.
You don't know old movies, but
all you have to do is look at the classic section. Be discreet.
Stop.
We aren't Philistines.
You're terrible.
If only he knew the places we.
Shut up.
He'd be so scandalized.
He's a good man.
I wasn't saying he isn't. He's taught me so much about film. Taught us about women's directors, about things my dad thinks Spielberg wouldn't.
Are you trashing Spielberg?
Never.
I feel bad. He just seems so lonely. And now people have to stop. I worry about him when we're not here anymore.
We should, when we've made it and are raking in the money, we should like buy this strip mall. Tear down the walls.
Make it a giant video store for him.
With a movie theater, a legit one where he can play any movie that he wants.
Like the Alamo Draft House.
And because we're behind it.
If you build it, that would be nice.
I have to tell you something.
You're stumped on Stockard Channing.
Tu Wong Fu, thanks for everything, Julie Newmar.
Wesley Snipes in drag. Surprised it was as big of a hit as it was.
Men in Drag have always been a hit. Martin Lawrence is doing it next year in Big Mama's House, and we can go see it together if you want, because I'm not. I'm an alternate for the scholarship. I heard last week, and if I heard last week and you haven't, then I've wanted to tell you, but I didn't want to before you, but I just feel like you should know. And this is better. It's better. I mean, because I can probably get a scholarship next year if I was close this year, and we can spend a year working here on our craft. Make this one-shot movie and submit it. I'm telling you, they'll accept both of us. And blessings, right? God working in ways that how we found each other as kids and then found each other, how I wasn't at the synagogue, how that spray paint is, how our art needs to be driven to fight against people, that how I should be making films. Like the one that we're working on now, showing life for pushing back at the NRA white nationalists, and nothing is easy. I mean, Lord knows we've earned, and this way we can be together.
I got the scholarship, David.
That's amazing.
Really?
Why wouldn't I?
Because I know how much you.
It's fucking amazing.
Gives Martin a kiss.
I'm proud of you. So fucking proud.
I wasn't. I think, yeah. I wanted to tell you too, but we both came so close. Are you first alternate?
First, they just said, I mean, would they tell you if you're first? Alternate. Alternate means next. I'm sure.
Maybe you're still. I don't know why they didn't. I need to make that trip to Oregon now to get a driver's license without needing a green card to get a government ID. I was still hoping that I could use your friend's address out there, and that it's a long drive and I don't drive and I need to learn how to drive, and that you'd still go with me.
Of course. Absolutely. Road trip. Oh, we've got to celebrate. We'll celebrate, but we should get home. My mom will worry. So.
I thought she was on the date.
Yeah, she's Jewish. Worries, like your grandparents. And it's late, and I need to drive you home. Though soon you'll be able to drive yourself.
Well, I'm not going to buy a car. I won't need one in New York.
David grabs his stuff.
Do you want to try getting that one shot again?
We'll do it tomorrow.
Well, we should clean up and.
Let's just come in early. I'll pick you up early. Come on.
Are you sure everything is?
You are so fucking talented, and I am gonna ride your coattails.
You can ride my coattails anytime.
Hmm?
You could move up too. You don't need to stay here. With everything that's. Move with me.
I forgot my keys.
I'll wait for.
I'll just be 2 seconds. I just have to find them. I'll meet you at the car. John Leguizamo from Tu Wong Fu.
As if I haven't seen all his films. The Pest, Super Mario Brothers, Pyromaniac's Love Story, Spawn.
Oh.
You walked right into my trap.
Martin heads out as David grabs his keys and is about to leave, but stops and is suddenly crying and crying for the missed opportunity, for losing Martin, for his future. He cries and cries and cries and cries and cries for an excruciatingly long time, until he finally collects himself, wipes his eyes, hiding he was crying, and walks out of the video store. Scene 7. Early the next morning, inside the store, David is cleaning up in a mad dash. He starts taking the posters down. TOGAF, the swastika, still there. And on closer inspection, we see TOGAF has changed to STOGAF. The T has been spray painted back over. Someone was there last night. Was it while they were there? Was it changed before they left or after? Were they close to becoming Matthew Shepard? And there's no denying now that it means all of them, even if the person can't spell faggot or faggots right. David stares at it, at the swastika, and something new is there. EKIK, which stops him cold. David grabs a dry erase marker, heads outside, and starts connecting the swastika, forming a Star of David. Not a perfect one, but it's there. Charles approaches, noticing David, and walks over. Seeing the Star of David, the T and the S and EKIK, as well as part of the window still covered in posters, and the inside of the store a mess. Finally.
Did a tornado come through and...
Sorry, Mr. Cross.
David erases the Star of David as the swastika, EKIK, remains. David goes inside and starts to clean up. As Charles hovers by the new graffiti, he's just not sure what to do. So he does what he can control, going inside, getting ready to open.
You get all this cleaned up.
Yes, sir.
Where's Martin?
I don't know.
You didn't give him a ride today? Everything?
Yeah. Yep.
Charles stops heading to the back and starts to help clean up the store.
The posters to help with the lighting?
The lighting?
For your film?
Oh, yeah. You think Matthew Shepard could happen here?
It could happen anywhere.
Even New York City?
Mm-hmm. But less likely. If you sense any trouble, call the police, okay?
But don't call them now. Or yesterday. I think Martin and I we could have been, what if what happened to my dad happened here? What then?
The police aren't going to do anything for me, but they'll do something for you.
Martin comes rushing in.
I thought you were picking me up at 7.
What?
I didn't see you.
I came in earlier.
Oh. Sorry about the mess.
Just get it cleaned up. We open in 10 minutes.
Charles heads into the back.
Is everything okay?
Yeah. Absolutely.
I couldn't sleep. I was so excited I was thinking that we could do our trip like over spring break. I need to get a copy of the license to them soon. It's like 3-4 days each way. We can drive through the night and stuff. And then you'll have to do the driving and you can teach me along the way. I'll cover for gas and food.
You don't need to.
I want to.
We'll need to talk with Mr. Cross and
I'm sure when have we ever asked for time off? He's very supportive of me going.
he knows you. You told him. When did you tell? Before you told.
I just wanted his advice on.
Advice on what did you think? How did you think that I'd be upset? I'm not upset.
No, that isn't. I wasn't sure if I should because you hadn't.
I'm not upset.
I didn't know if I deserved it. I'm not legal. And it feels like I'm doing something wrong. Preventing someone else from.
You aren't preventing. You deserve it. Totally deserve it. I'm thrilled for you.
I can't tell you how much that means. I know if things had been reversed, it would have been hard, but I would have been so thrilled for you too.
This trash bag is full. You mind taking it out?
Sure.
Martin grabs the trash bag.
Oh shit.
Martin has just now seen STOGAF, the swastika, EKIK.
David?
We just have to be more careful. Discreet.
Are you?
You're still on John Leguizamo.
Carlito's Way.
It's too easy.
Maybe I'm setting you up.
Martin starts to head to the back with the trash bag. Stops.
Hey, David.
David stops cleaning. They're looking at each other, the distance of the store between them.
I want us to be together too. If you don't want me to, I could see about deferring or.
No. James Rebhorn. You can't say Independence Day.
David,
We'll figure it out. Martin, we'll figure it out.
I only got it because of you. Of how you inspired me to. You really should be the one getting the fuck out of here.
Martin waits for David to say something, but David is back to cleaning, so Martin heads to the back to throw out the trash. David is alone, cleaning, and stops. Just him and the store, his real synagogue, no matter how much he's embraced a Jewish one. He looks back at the window. STOGAF, the swastika, EKIK. David finds he's instinctively touched his head, where his yarmulke is under the ball cap. His dad's yarmulke. He takes in the surroundings of the video store, all the stories, all the posters, the store that is supposed to one day rent his films. David is suddenly moving quickly to the checkout counter. He types into the computer, searching, and then picks up the phone, dialing a number, waiting. This is taking longer than, and then someone on the other end picks up.
Hi. NYU admissions? Yeah, I need to. No, I'm still. I need to tell you something about Martin Diaz.
Smash out. As we're realizing, maybe we should have been afraid of him. End of Act 1. Fade in. On the shadows of the morning, reflecting in on the video rental store. Outside, David is at the window, scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing with incredible intensity, trying to wash the sins of these people away, almost as if he's trying to wash his as well. And he's making progress. He's working on the O. And as the O disappears, it reads GAF. And just under remains the swastika and EKIK. Charles arrives. David doesn't notice as he's solely focused on scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing. Is he tearing his fingertips off? Until Charles puts his hand on David.
Oh,
You okay, son?
Yeah.
When'd you get here?
Not that early.
I'll pay you
I'm
for
not asking you to.
You care for this place as if it were your own. That doesn't go unnoticed, even when you leave it a mess.
I read on a message board how to. It's working slowly, but I can get all of this.
Later, we need to open.
There haven't been many customers who maybe they're too afraid to. It's been there a week. We need to. If it's gone, then
Leave it for now, David.
Why?
I won't let them think they're winning.
Charles goes inside, and we see how he opens the store with reverence, humility, respect for his temple. David comes inside, and we get a better look at David, at the bags under his eyes, at how it's almost as if something's eating him away from the inside.
You and Martin aren't carpooling anymore?
Just wanted to get here.
Does this have to do with the scholarship?
No. I'm happy. He.
How long have I known you? You had a stack of tapes, 5 or 6 of them. Must have been half your size. You were little. An alien was on the top. And I wanted to know where your parents were. And before I could say anything, you were spouting about Spielberg and 1941 being underappreciated.
It is.
And then told me I shouldn't smoke because it causes cancer. You were precocious. But I wasn't going to rent any of those movies to you. And you told me your parents were fine with you being here by yourself and gave me their box office video card as proof. You weren't a good liar and still aren't. You didn't get the... You both are going to be filmed.
Time is short, Mr. Cross.
You're still young and...
Life could end at any moment for praying, loving, going to a movie, young. It just doesn't matter anymore. Does it?
Could you go without...
It would cost too much.
What about something in state? What about other schools that you've heard from that are... I know they're not NYU, but you could transfer.
I didn't apply anywhere else.
David.
NYU is the one. It's where my dad wanted to. He was apparently different before Vietnam. Watching movies is as close as I got to. We'd watch them like that stack of 5 or 6 in a day. He was getting better. Spielberg helped. My dad loved how he balanced blockbusters with serious ones. The color purple, Amistad. I mean, he held my hand during Jurassic Park when I got scared. And you should have seen him when Spielberg won for Schindler's List. He was excited for Saving Private Ryan, and Faith was helping until. Martin wants me to move up with him.
That would be fun.
I don't know if it would be.
Well, if you don't move, there's a manager position open here. It would mean working more than weeknights, weekends. The pay isn't, but I couldn't think of anyone better.
I have bigger aspirations than running a video store, Mr. Cross.
It wouldn't be forever. Leave when you want to leave. I
didn't mean to.
This isn't just... The movie theater was a haven for me as a kid. From black eyes, bloody noses, from those who'd give me black eyes, bloody noses. We couldn't take a movie home then. There weren't videos or televisions, imagine. I never loved church for obvious reasons. My parents wanted me to, but when you're different, you know? And everything about going to the movies, the ritual of going to the movies, purchasing of a ticket, the anticipation of the lights dimming, the sound of the projector whirring, sitting there in the balcony with people around you, people who looked only like you, because segregation, but we're all experiencing the same thing at the same time. And I'd look for people that looked like me on that screen, or that swished and wore lavender and loved drapes and a painted face, making me feel like I wasn't alone. Knowing that Grant or Pangborn or Dean or Tab were, you could sense it. They may not have looked like me, but they were me. And when the film ended and the lights rose, we'd look at each other smiling. Wow, nodding. Wasn't that something? My parents felt it was a waste of all the money they worked so hard for. Worked so hard to provide opportunities they didn't have. And no one in the theater knew how hard I fell in love with it. Despite all the pressure to be a doctor, a lawyer, to make money, to make the sacrifice of my parents mean, the movies are always there for me, no matter what. I saw my first movie on the main floor, not the balcony, after segregation ended, with everyone together as one, for a little while with the same smiling and nods after. And so, no DVDs, DivX, or laser discs that you have to flip over, because that's going to put an end to film. And I can't imagine a world where film isn't, where movies aren't seen all together. And that's in my power. Why the movie nights here used to be, they were packed once. I might not have been able to be, but this is my theater. How I bring people together. For that sense of oneness. For everyone that comes through those doors, my doors. Something that Blockbuster will never do. This place is...
Charles gestures towards the graffiti.
That might be happening out there. The violence in this world, I can't control that. But in here, it's given people like me, like you, a safe place, a home. And you will always have a home here. Count the cash. Check everything is rewound in the returns, then get to shelving. All right?
Yes, sir.
Charles heads to the back. David wants to say something, to apologize, to say thank you, but the words don't come. As Charles goes into the back, David is alone with the store. As he heads to the checkout counter, he stops at the employee recommendation section, at Martin's section. He picks up deep impact, knowing why Martin cried, never having to be told, and he sighs, regretting everything. Scene 2. Early evening, after hours. David is following Martin around with the camera, as Martin is shelving. They're back to filming their new movie, their one-shot movie. But Martin seems distracted, and David stops following him. Martin doesn't notice at first that David has stopped filming, until he does.
Dolly not working?
It's working.
Then why did you... I thought it was going well.
You're not in the moment.
I'm in the moment.
You're not. You're not.
What kind of moment? I'm shelving. What else does there need to be?
You're supposed to walk by the window. We were going to use the window as a visual way to tell so much without saying anything at all, but you didn't make the cross, and you're, off somewhere else.
Okay, let's start over from...
Is something that... Did NYU call?
What? No, why would...
I don't know. Huh.
I told my grandparents.
Oh.
They got angry.
You knew
They wanted to know why I was risking everything, taking chances, that I was going to be found out since I'm here. They want me to work the same jobs and marry a woman to become legal.
You're not Gerard Depardieu.
They don't think I should bring attention to myself and that this is all your fault. They already don't like you and that you're putting ideas in my head and that I can do whatever. They don't understand why I would want to.
You're a filmmaker, is why.
Are you mad at me? Things have been... This week has been... Since I told you about the... You stopped driving me to... We could still make movies and be together, which is all that I don't want this to change anything about...
It's not going to.
Do you want to move with me? Do you love me?
David goes to the checkout counter, taking out a map and printed out directions.
MapQuest says we should go this route to Oregon. We'll want to avoid Texas. And if we add a few more days, we can see the Grand Canyon and swing by Hollywood. I've never been, and it would be cool to. We can do it after you get your license. And I sent some mail already to my friend from your address to establish residency. I'm not. I've just been. I'll make this motivate me, like Spielberg not having an Oscar for so long, and you have a plan. Did you tell your grandparents that you have a, that it's not that it won't be? How is it going to be a risk?
And a rock comes crashing through the window of the store. David and Martin duck behind a shelf, the counter, but we can still see them. They aren't close enough to hold each other. There's distance between them. They breathe heavily, looking at one another, scared shitless. Is there more that's going to happen? And is this really happening here, in the blue part of Virginia? Are they about to be... Tires I heard screeching off. Have they left? We stay with David and Martin in this uncertainty. Martin starts to move. David isn't ready and overwhelmed, knowing he's feeling what his dad must have felt. Martin moves to the rock, picks it up. Something is wrapped around it. Martin unfurls it, revealing a Confederate flag. It's no longer 20 minutes south, it's here. And across the Confederate flag is written, "God hates fags."
We should call the police.
David, no.
Mr. Cross said if something were to happen, that I should call.
No. No police.
The police aren't all. More people would have at that synagogue if they hadn't.
David.
Caught them or a camera. Yes.
David. If they found out about me, no police.
We should. At least call Mr. Cross.
I think it would be better if we weren't here for this.
We should wait a little. Just to make sure that they're gone.
The two sit next to each other, much as they did when watching Dawson's Creek.
I do want to move with you.
Scene 3. The next morning. Outside. Charles is looking at the hole in the glass. He unfurls a movie poster and tapes it over the hole. He comes back into the store and takes another poster and tapes it over the hole when he sees the rock wrapped in the Confederate flag, as if it had never been unfurled. Charles goes to it, unfurling it. God hates fags. Outside, David and Martin rush on. Coming into the store, seeing Charles holding the Confederate flag, he bundles it up, trying to hide it.
Mr. Cross?
Were you boys here when?
We'd already left.
Good.
Charles goes to clean up the glass. David and Martin help.
I don't think you boys should film at night here anymore. For a while.
these are just some jerks who...
Still, you could have been... I shouldn't have let you film without being here.
This isn't your fault, Mr. Cross.
Of course it's not. It's yours. Both of yours. You need to be more... when making your movies...
We're only making our movies.
David.
You want to kiss outside when...
We aren't. We know not to.
Charles points to the large window wall all around them.
This might as well be outside. I told you to be more discreet.
Okay. We'll be more.
Yeah, like George Cukor, like you.
He doesn't mean that, Mr. Cross.
Should Ellen have been more discreet?
I'm not Ellen. You're not Ellen. We're not celebrities. And two of us are definitely not white.
Doesn't have to do with our skin.
You think anyone would know who Matthew Shepard is if he were black? Make fun of Cukor. Fine. I'm not going to argue. His films are racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic, and white. So goddamn white. But a reminder of art made by someone struggling to carve out space for themselves, for people like themselves, for people like you. So you can have it better. So you can joke about faggot.
We don't.
I heard you too. Faggo. Faggot. 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 Hey! That isn't something to...
We didn't mean to.
If you were offended, we're sorry if you're offended.
Would you do that with Kike?
If we can't joke about it, then isn't that letting them win?
We're still in the... Moving from the balcony to the main floor, that didn't happen fast. This struggle, the one we're talking about here, is still happening, and you need to be... You're safe here. We're safe here. Until you two... Why do you think Luke left? He was afraid of brushing up against one of us and getting AIDS. If you're going to work here, then you need to be... That doesn't mean you can't be yourself. Just be...
We understand, sir.
I didn't mean to say that this was your fault. I've worked too hard for... This is all I have. You two are all I have. I don't want anything to happen, and this is the democratic part of the state. You two should go home, okay? We're not going to open today.
Mr. Cross,
Home.
we should open.
Definitely open.
Boys,
You're here. We're here.
two should just go home.
But we are home.
Martin starts to reshelve, not leaving. David follows his lead.
Get the cash box. Then we need to check the returns that everything is rewound.
Charles heads to the back, disappearing.
Luke I told you something is off about Mel Gibson.
Mr. Cross isn't wrong.
People would know about Matthew Shepard strung up on a fence and
Like they know about every brown person that's been a fag.
could say the same thing about every Jew that's been...
I meant Mr. Cross isn't wrong about... We should be more careful. Because we're like jungle fever. Only gayer.
I haven't seen... I know the cover, the black and white hands intertwined.
We should... Spike Lee, Wesley Snipes, Annabella Sciorra.
How much more discreet can we Where can we not be?
You got mail. I'm giving you, you've got mail. It's so good. Based on a shop around the corner, because how many original ideas are there anymore?
I'm more a Sleepless in Seattle guy.
Has a great movie moment.
On top of the Empire State Building.
We have to be going.
We should be going.
Really?
Yeah, and then Tom Hanks extends his hand, shall we? And Meg Ryan takes it as they become a family. And there's nothing discreet about that. I'm giving you Tom Hanks from
Apollo 13.
Mhm.
Houston, there's a problem.
Oh my God.
David goes to shelving as Martin finishes cleaning up the glass. Charles comes back out with the cash box. Things feel like they're getting back to some semblance of normal. The phone rings.
You're so bad at you just stop with the quote.
I got that quote.
Charles answers the phone.
Box office video.
It's Houston, we have a problem.
Seriously?
Martin, it's NYU. They're calling you here?
It was here, my grandparents.
Martin goes over to the phone.
Hello?
Martin listens to the caller as David starts shelving again, but is really listening to what this phone call is about.
This is him?
Charles heads to the back with the trash bag as Martin is quiet for a while, listening and listening.
No. I am. I am. Sure. I can. I will. I will. Thank you.
Martin hangs up.
You're on Apollo 13.
NYU. Hey, no.
No. How could they?
I don't. Only people know are my grandparents, you, and the DMV worker.
Maybe NYU did a background check, or can they prove it?
I mean, if they look closer, I'm sure they can. That scholarship had a form, and it asked if I was an American citizen, and I said yes, against penalty of.
Yeah, but I mean, what penalty are they? What is even the penalty for? That's just something said on all those forms. On any employment form, it's gonna be fine.
It's not gonna be.
They're not gonna.
I
Wow.
just lied to them again. Told them I'm a citizen, and maybe they won't be as nice as that DMV worker. They could call the NIS.
They wouldn't do that over.
They would. They would. Especially if someone thinks that I'm taking the place from someone else.
Maybe they only wanted verbal confirmation. Maybe there's nothing to worry about.
Oh, fuck!
Hey. No.
Oh, God.
Hey.
God, this was gonna be my one shot, and now it's gone.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, Martin.
David kisses Martin and kisses him and kisses him, willing it to be okay. Charles pops out.
You two boys all right?
We're fine, Dr. Cross. Mr. Cross.
Martin?
Yeah, it's nothing.
Charles doesn't quite believe them, but pops into the back.
We'll figure this out. Together.
Martin grabs some tapes to reshelve. David follows Martin's lead.
Ed Harris from Paul 13.
The Truman Show.
Martin reshelves a classic when he sees Gaslight and stops. Moving it slightly out. Something about this movie.
I'm keeping it easy for you. Could have said Milk Money or China Moon.
David.
You weren't stumped on the Truman Show. There's literally a poster out front of
Why did you ask if NYU called me?
What?
Yesterday. You asked.
You just seemed distracted. I thought it might have had
But why? Why would you?
Because
David?
I don't know what you're.
David. David.
This is gonna sound. You're gonna get the wrong. Martin. Martin. Martin.
You called?
Let me just explain for.
You told?
Hang on.
How could you?
I didn't mean to.
Well, it seems like you did.
It was a rash. I didn't mean to call them. I didn't mean to call them.
David, you don't accidentally call them and tell them that I'm undocumented.
Just listen to me for a moment.
I don't understand.
Martin, just listen, please. I called. I meant to call in that moment, just that moment, only that moment, and I regretted it. Regret it so much. And a week went by. I thought nothing was gonna. That it was a relief, and that was a relief because I didn't want this to happen.
How can you say that? Why else call them?
Because it didn't seem fair. Because my stories matter now more. Because I'm the one who deserves it. My dad wasn't able to, and now I wasn't able to. And if I hadn't encouraged you to submit, and this is all I've ever wanted, there's so much in this world that and I know what a movie can do, what they did for my dad, for me, what an escape can, like Jurassic Park, that Triceratops, like the breathing, Sam Neill lying on it, feeling it as John Williams' score soars. Those dinosaurs, they felt real. I was transported. We all were. Taken out of our lives for 2 hours, not thinking about how the world is chaos on the brink of destruction with Waco, Heaven's Gate, Oklahoma City. Huh? I mean, Matthew Shepard, brown or not, a rock flying through the fucking wind. My dad being gunned down for being a Jew. He wasn't killed in Vietnam, but here, home in America. Said for like the movie that we're making now to reflect that insanity back. There's room for both. Like Spielberg, I want to do that, and I was feeling like all that's happened has to mean that God has to be, and your work was getting supported, acknowledged, when mine is just as good. I know it's just as good, but Jew and gay, it isn't a minority anymore. I was feeling like, where's the space for me, for my stories?
I don't care, David. I don't care. I could be deported.
They wouldn't. I wasn't thinking about it. Martin, please, just
shut up. Just shut up. Shut up. Just shut up. The space for your stories. That's what matters more. It's all your space, David. Sorkin, Wes Anderson, Curtis Hanson, Spielberg. Amistad is nothing more than white people saving. The space I have, they aren't mainstream. The movies you don't care about, like Jungle Fever. There's a reason why I don't ever give you Tate Diggs or Cleo King or the one of John Leguizamo's smaller films, because you don't know them. You don't have to know them because everything is white. Everything is white. Even Ellen or Rosie or Jodie Foster or Jack, just general white. And that's what happens in everything. Even Forrest Whitaker going from directing to waiting to exhale, and to hope floats, and even the way you see me.
That's not. I see you.
You have me playing a Mexican when I am Guatemalan. And I've let it. I let it all. You couldn't. This is worse than anything those people could. I trusted you.
Martin, please.
This is my life, David. Not some movie where. You know why they love my film better? You can direct the shit out of, but this was. It's not a rom-com. The space for your. You didn't even make a gay one, or a Jewish one, or a straight one. They loved mine because it was honest, made with purpose, to shine a light for my community.
And I am trying to. Maybe this could be better. Just
David.
For both of us, because you were gonna go to school and still you were gonna have to hide. And how hard would it have been to keep hiding and find work and all the lying you'd have to keep doing about being a citizen and
Talk to me about hiding. You don't know what it's like.
I do. I can't wear this out. I'm too afraid to wear this out in the open. The persecution hasn't stopped. People are still out there trying to kill us. I haven't felt safe anywhere but this store since. Now, the one place I felt safe is.
It's never been safe, David. America isn't. And I can't really hide, David. The best I can do is not accent the I in my name. I don't tell people that I'm undocumented, but most people assume I am anyway, that I shouldn't be here. I didn't choose to be here. I was sent here as a kid because of civil warfare that this country had a direct hand in. I was sent here for the same reasons your ancestors came here, because it's better, and it's better that I am here. What I've always thought since finding out that this was better, even if my mom was so far, was that I met you. I met you. I can't simply put a hat over my head. And now you've outed me. And I never thought you'd go. College was never going to be. And then you learned of this scholarship and kept telling me, just do it. That we both applied. We'd figure it out if I. And we both got an interview, and it seemed like it was that I could. I let myself think the only way I was going to afford college, and it was a little lie about being a citizen, but there was no other choice if I wanted. And I wanted. Talk about escape. You made me feel like I deserved it. Even if I felt like an imposter as a filmmaker, as an American. And I felt like I shouldn't get it because of not being legal, because of not belonging here. You can go to college if you want. You made a choice. You have privilege of choice to focus on one school, but you can, if you wanted, go in state. I don't have that choice. Any choice. I can't get federal aid, and now I can't believe you.
It was one mistake.
If I make one, it's over for me. And if they send me back, what do you think will happen to me as a maricon?
Look, if I could, I never thought NYU might call INS. I'd never want you to be. I can't take it back, Martin. I can't change. Forgive me for.
And suddenly Martin lunges at David. They wrestle. They fling into shelves. Tapes go flying. Shelving falls off, then flips over, and the classic section is destroyed in the process. The tapes, the display, things shatter. Charles comes out hearing the commotion and rushes to them.
Break it up, boys. Break it up.
Charles gets in between the two, trying to get them off of each other. David's elbow catches Charles' face. Charles recoils, bleeding. David and Martin have separated, Martin holding David's yarmulke.
Mr. Cross,
David walks towards Charles, who backs away.
Why do you think I can't remember quotes, David? Why that stuff doesn't stick with me the way it does with you? I spent hours on IMDb memorizing actors and movies, and it's not because I love film. I love it a lot. I love it a lot. I love it a lot now, but not as much as I meant it when I told you you inspire me to. I only love movies because you love them. And I thought you loved me. Mr. Cross, thank you so much for this job. For taking me in when but I have to quit.
Martin, I'll quit.
No.
Let me at least give you a ride.
Leave me alone, David.
Martin is leaving. He stops at the trash can, throwing the yarmulke in the trash.
What are you gonna? You're still on the Truman Show.
And Martin is gone.
Let me get you an ice pack.
You're fired, David. I can't have anyone. You brought violence into my home. Into my home. Go!
This store is all I have.
David takes off his box office video shirt, folds it up, places it on the counter.
Please don't tell anyone about Martin. About him being.
David starts to leave, stops at the trash can, looking in, down at the yarmulke. He picks it up, holds the yarmulke, and then drops it back in the trash and exits the store. We're left with Charles, alone in his store, with his bloody nose, with the graffiti, the hole in the glass, with his videos. He heads to the classics section, what's left of the classics section, and sits on the floor looking at it, at the remnants of his pièce de résistance, of Rock and Pangborn and Grant and fade out. End of Act 2. Fade in. The sun on the verge of setting, an end of a long day. The front window has been replaced. The graffiti appears to be gone, as we see the back of a large banner on the front window. It says, "Everything must go." The shelves are bare, almost ransacked, as if the store looks like what it might have ended up if Charles hadn't broken up the fight between David and Martin. Inside, we see a few signs remaining that say VHS, DVDs. DVDs finally invaded the store. The TVs remain, the same ones that haven't been replaced, even though it's 2008. Outside, Martin walks up to the store. He's older, even in how he carries his body. His style has definitely increased. He's now 27. He walks to the window, reading the banner. His body deflates, even though he knew this was coming. It's one thing knowing it, and another seeing the bones for yourself. He moves to the part of the window that once had STOGAF, the swastika, EKIK, which is all gone, probably been gone for years. But for Martin, it's still there. He feels it. senses it, can't escape it. He touches the window, tracing with his finger where the graffiti had been. Inside, David, now 27, comes in from the back, aged as well, and wearing the button-down box office video shirt, the one we'd seen Charles wearing, and he packs up the remaining videos from the classics section. Some are DVDs, some are tapes, and watching him we understand that whatever has happened since we last saw him, this store has become more than ever his home, was his home. He's no longer wearing the Jurassic Park ball cap, wearing no hat, no yarmulke, and Martin sees that, sees David without his ball cap, his yarmulke. David is focused on packing up this last box, the classics. He doesn't notice Martin standing at the window, but Martin notices David and recognizes him immediately. He watches David pack, and then Martin starts walking away. David continues to pack up boxes, unaware of who lingers just outside. Martin turns back to the store, tentative. He opens the door and walks into the passage, and opens the second door, walking into the store for the first time in 9 years. David doesn't look up, but knows someone has entered.
We're closed. Everything's packed up. Movers took what was left. Just got these classics no one wanted. I'm going to donate them to the library, but if you're into classics, if you want to search through them, take anything you want. Just give me your best offer.
And David finally turns around, turns to see Martin.
Martin.
I'm going by Martin now.
I had heard so used to. Why are you?
I heard the store was closing. Just wanted to see it one last time.
I meant, why are you in town?
Oh, my grandma.
I'm sorry.
She was sick for. Thank you.
And heard about your mom too.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to Guatemala but Mr. Cross here?
He died too. Everyone's dying, huh? Or having kids. He had a stroke. Finally passed a little over a year ago. They don't know how much he could process. I hadn't seen him since, but heard about, and just, he's family. I'd bring him some Q-Core to watch, but I don't think he had to get them all on DVD because I didn't have a VHS player. I've now seen more classic movies than I ever. Some are pretty good.
Oh, well, if racist, homophobic supporting a master narrative is pretty good. Some are pretty good.
Q-Core was pretty good at finding the positive in such negative. Oh, like the dance instructor in Our Betters. Can only imagine what that must have been like to see that on the screen. I mean, what someone who was gay felt, what Mr. Cross felt, like what we felt seeing Jack, what I felt.
I haven't seen Our Betters. I just don't have time to. Life is too short.
Jungle Fever was pretty good. It was good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're working here again, then? Well, we're working here?
There wasn't anyone else to take over. I'm glad you didn't have to see this. I saw your film.
It played in like
The
what?
benefit of still living here near DC, and don't get all, it wasn't very crowded. Like 3 of us on opening weekend, totally bombed. It was good though, and it was. On the window looked, and you did it with the in
Yeah.
one take.
I was good. I always thought it was good. Once some story was put around it.
The gunshot at the end, as he was locking up, taking us out of the store for the first time, his bubble, his safety burst the moment he walked out. I was, I wouldn't have thought. Yeah. Where you came out as undocumented. I was worried for what people might, for what it might do to your career, and scared for your for being so open, so gay, and risking being deported back to a country that
The undocumented thing hasn't. You win one movie that wins some awards, and your status doesn't necessarily matter so much, especially when fans of film have friends. Suddenly I'm privileged. That could change at any moment. I sleep in hotels now just in case ICE tries to advice of my lawyers. This is my home, not Guatemala, no matter what the law says. I'm talking to some execs about other ideas. Yeah, about other ideas I have, and they aren't really interested in Latino movies. Not that I think the movies I do. The movies I want to make as Latino movies, they're just movies. The execs are the ones who think of them as Latino movies. Better than gay Latino movies, so suppose that's progress. They don't think I'll make any money making my film, so they want to make my hope floats. They want me because of who I am, but they're not interested in stories about that. The money would be good though.
why did you risk everything telling about?
I was tired of passing, hiding. It's exhausting. And if I'm gonna make a movie about it, it didn't seem right. And I want others to know that they can have someone to. I didn't do it into an airport microphone. Just an interview. I didn't make the cover of Time.
Yeah.
I've gotten some death threats.
So did Ellen.
Well, there's some big differences between her and I. If I had come to this country a few months sooner, I could have gotten amnesty from Reagan. Irony. My mom sent me here because of how his politics impacted Guatemala. Maybe Obama will do the same thing. He's no Morgan Freeman, but has a Democratic-controlled Congress.
That's still reeling from terror and keeping our borders safe. Gosh, I wanted to call you after New York must have been that day. I got your number from your grandma, but
You could have. And I wasn't anywhere near the. I don't have any kind of harrowing story about the. Other than me just being in the city, it did make me think of your dad and you and what that must have been. Maybe why you.
there's no good why.
I still light a candle for your dad. Yeah.
That's very kind.
For Yarzet.
Yeah. I haven't.
David instinctively touches his head where the yarmulke used to be.
Faith has gotten less and less, has seemed more and more just something else to control people, comfort us about dying.
You're turning into your mother.
Careful.
I shouldn't have thrown it in the trash. I always thought this store would be that our movies would eventually take over the.
Martin points to where the classic section had been.
And we'd see posters of Jodie Foster, Nathan Lane, Neil Patrick Harris, George Takei, and I'm sure there are more, but more we don't know are. Matthew Shepard never goes away.
I gotta finish packing, lock up.
All right.
Martin gives a half-wave goodbye, starts to leave as David goes back to packing the classics box up.
I'm sorry. I've never been more. So I know that won't. Nothing can make up for. I'm not asking you to. I just want you to know that just to know.
What are you doing, David?
Apologizing poorly for.
In this store? Why are you still here? Why didn't you go to school?
NYU wasn't gonna, not after. I called them, told them I was the one who called, and then I lied.
I know. They told me. Probably why I was still able to go. But you could have gone to any other school. USC or.
I really gotta, I have to lock up.
David has finished packing and taping up the classics box.
I'll get the.
I'll walk out with you.
Okay.
David collects his stuff, the box, and shuts the light off. David looks back around at the empty rental store full of peace and calm. Now missing all the adventure, the romance, the horror, the worlds, but still somehow the racism, the misogyny, the homophobia lingers. David takes the time he needs to breathe in the store, his home, one last time, as Martin hovers nearby. The two men finally leave out the doors, and we find ourselves out front of the video store, the parking lot, seeing the banners and posters saying everything must go, and closing.
What's become of this place?
Plastic surgeon's office.
David looks to the window that had the graffiti on it years ago.
We replaced the window, but it's like it's never gone away.
Maybe things are getting better now.
Would have been a great, huge video store. This mall, this whole place.
With that movie theater showing Gaslight.
Or Jeffrey and Get Real.
Oh. David. You're more talented, knowledgeable than 3/4 of who I went to school with. Then who working right now? How is this your life? What happened to being a filmmaker?
I'm not. It just wasn't in the cards. I tried to make some other, but it wasn't the same without you. I liked working here. I think I kind of let that dream go. And happy I always knew you loved movies. Because you love them. Not because I like to blow things up. Think about film tricks. You were the one who knew story, how to tell story, who was the one with the talent. That always was you. I've missed you.
Then David starts to tentatively move in. But unlike how we first saw them, David isn't sure. Can he do this? Does he have permission? They kiss. And they do kiss. As David kisses Martin and Martin kisses back. It's sensual, passionate, neither caring who sees them out in this parking lot. It's their movie moment. As cars drive by, as probably someone is walking their dog, some straight white person walking their dog, and then they break from the kiss.
David, I can't see anyone right now. I'm just not in the place to, and I don't even know if I want to see you any longer than now. Goodbye, David.
Goodbye.
Laura Linney from The Truman Show.
And Martin is gone, leaving David by himself. As a few cars are heard driving by on Chainbridge Road, David just sits there, alone. Well, not so alone, as there's still, even briefly, the remnants of their kiss outside in the world, in this parking lot, in front of that window. And there's still, until he leaves, the video rental store. Fade out, end of play.
Thank you for watching tonight and for staying for our live talk back. We'd love for you to join in the conversation. If you have any insights about what worked for you in the play, or if you have any questions about certain things that were unclear, make sure to put them in the comments or the chat box on YouTube, or you can text us, don't call us. Text us at 703-988-1364. I encourage you to engage online in this conversation as you would in person. And I would ask that you stay away from statements about what you didn't like or how you would rewrite the play. This is really about our opportunity to understand what was unclear for you. So your insight and feedback is so important to us and such an important part of this development process. So I want to welcome to the screen now our playwright, Andrew Rosendorf, to begin the conversation. Hi, Andrew. How's it going?
It's good, Matt. How are you?
I'm good, good, good. So how was this idea for the play born? Did you know you wanted to write a play dealing with race and sexuality? Did you know you wanted to write a love story? You wanted to write something set in a video rental store? How did it begin?
Well, I mean, like I grew up in McLean, Virginia. That's not gonna be a surprise. and I spent a lot of my time as a middle schooler and teenager in video rental stores or at movie theaters. And so it's always been like a place that was sort of like a haven to me. And so I've just for a long time wanted to write something set in that environment, but didn't know what that was going to be. And then, you know, with the last president and sort of the rise of anti-Semitism, the rise of transphobia and homophobia, sort of thrust me back into what it was like to be a gay kid in the 1990s and growing up. And it sort of started to make connections for myself about then how I wanted to explore sort of like privilege and fragility, and especially the notions of safe spaces, like the different types of temples that we have, and you know, asking questions about where our safe space is anymore, and what happens when the people we love are the ones that are making our spaces not safe.
That's great. When you, I want to go dig a little deeper into that, but I do want to ask you just a question about process. And that is, you know, when you start writing a play like this, do you have an outline? Do you know where it's going to go? Or do you just start page one, scene one, and just see where the story and the characters take you?
I'm not someone that outlines, but I do sort of have some notions about maybe things that will happen in the play. And oftentimes some of that happens and some of it doesn't. But like, I had no idea that David was going to call NYU when I started writing this play. So like, those are the discoveries along the way. And that like, that discovery right before he did it sort of then like totally was like, oh, that is exactly what this play is. And then I got mad at David for a while. I'm still mad at him.
There you go. I think there were a few people in the chat who were very mad at David as well. So you mentioned you're from McLean, Virginia. You have had your plays developed and produced all over the country, but your hometown is Northern Virginia, is McLean. So what made you, besides knowing that you wanted to set a play in McLean, Virginia, now's the time to dive into that story. Yeah.
Because like the thing about McLean that is so surprising and unique to me, and what I experienced as a kid was that it's sort of like the blue part of Virginia, and especially when I was growing up, like it was sort of a swing state. Like you were always sort of like, is it going to turn now? It's more like Riley blue, but it's always because of basically Northern Virginia and the dense population of it. But I was never as aware that like Virginia is Virginia in the sense of like when I started to go to college at William and Mary, when I would drive just 20 minutes south on my way to college from Northern Virginia, suddenly there were Confederate flags and everything else that was like totally different from what the insular environment of a large swath of Northern Virginia is. And that notion of like the blue part being surrounded by like the red part, and how you do start to like consciously and subconsciously feel it like creeping in, and how that impacts you. And that felt like the exact type of environment to like tell this story about two people who I always view are like in a romantic comedy. It's just like the world around them that can't sustain two people like them to be in a romantic comedy.
Yeah. You know, we are both gay men who grew up in the suburbs of DC in the 90s. And I certainly, when I read this play, I felt a connection to it because of that. You know, these are characters that their experience of gay was defined by, or their experience of being gay was defined by a world in which Ellen DeGeneres had just come out, in which Matthew Shepard was killed for being gay. And I know those moments really defined my experience of understanding what it was to be gay at that time. And there was certainly a very chilling effect that Matthew Shepard's death had on me. But as tragic as that murder was, what I found particularly poignant in your play was that perhaps Matthew Shepard's death meant more to me as a white gay man than it might have meant to others. Was intersectionality of race and sexuality something that you specifically set out to look at when writing this play?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very interested in the privilege that I hold as a white gay man, that people of color who are also gay or queer, there's just a hierarchy there, which I feel like is underexplored in the notions of that. And the different ways that we can see ourselves reflected back in the media and entertainment that we look at, and how that is something that is like striking, and conversations that I have with my friends all a fair amount too in and about. But it is something that I'm definitely interested in, and it's kind of like in different ways, a running theme of how I'm interested in exploring like liberalness and whiteness and privilege that is associated because I look how I look versus the way that other people experience the world.
Yeah. I think we have a few questions and comments from some folks, so I'm going to let James put them up. So the first one we have is, I'm writing a play for my senior thesis, and I'm wondering, how do you workshop plays with and know what works and what doesn't work?
Yeah, that's like, how can I be concise in this? So I think like one thing that's helpful is to get to be just in a room with people, to like read the play, to ask questions, or have someone facilitating questions to ask, to like learn about like what is resonating, what's working, where to like mine deeper, and then go away and like rewrite, and then sometimes come back with a totally new group of people, or like with the same group of people. I also think it's important to find people that you trust inherently, because like being an artist is just incredibly personal, and especially from like being a writer, it's like you're just like birthing children constantly, and then it can be sometimes hard to be able to objectively look at and ask questions about what is and what isn't working. But like people that you trust, who like become your people, you'll be able to have those conversations, and there won't be any defensiveness associated with it. And like at the end of the day, you have to trust yourself. It's like your play. You got to decide like what you want to address or revise or look at, or like what you want to like leave exactly as it is, which is like totally empowering in a business where sometimes it feels like you as the writer are the least person empowered to do anything, but actually you're the one that holds like the most power. And with great power comes great responsibility. But yeah, I mean, those are like some off the top. I think it's like dangerous to also like take everybody's feedback as gold, because like you just don't always, you can't always trust it. Like you have to, at the end of the day, like check yourself and trust yourself, and like trust the people that or those people that you trust inherently. I don't know. How did I do? Did I answer that question?
Yeah. I want to also, just since we're sort of talking about the art of writing for a second, you know, in your scripts, at least the scripts of yours that I have read, you spend a lot of time at the beginning of the play really establishing the world in the stage directions at the beginning, and you do it in a format that I can't say that I've seen another playwright write in, though. I mean, there are many ways to sort of format a script, and that I think is very telling about how you sort of want it to be read, as well as how you want it to be experienced. But just in terms of the stage directions for a second, do you find that like at the beginning of writing this play, you're spending a lot of time sort of delving into just what this world looks like and feels like before you start to dive into the dialogue of the piece, or is that not really the way you think of it?
No, I mean, I think it is, in the sense that for me, like one of the things that I know where I'm ready to like try and write a play is I have the first image of what the play is. And so other people will say other things, but for me, it's like image and the visual of like what those first moments that an audience and even I creating these are like experiencing. And so going slow has always been my friend, in the sense of like really like entering the world and how we want to receive it, even though I know that like stage directions are not like part of what somebody would see when they like go see the performance of the play, but I do feel like it is like another character and another tool to really embody how the piece lives off the page. And the same with like how the alignment or structure is. And I have been, I feel like the typical format of a play that you would say is like industry standard is like confining to me versus like the freedom to just put words wherever you want on a page, more like you're a poet. And like how that can also inform how someone is reading it, is going to experience it off the page, and how that is part of the storytelling as well.
That's great. Let's get some more questions and comments from our viewers. So
just as long as you keep telling me I'm great, I'm good.
That's good. You're good. How did Charles' character come about? I'm really fascinated by the generational conversation the play creates.
Yeah, well, I'm just like interested in the different experiences of gay men, and like what the generational differences are about that, and then what the lived experiences are of that as well. And so I was thinking about like generationally, as well as from different perspectives of people of color, and the notions of how America, I mean, like where you fit in, when America is kind of usually looks at things as like white and black, and that is not what America is. And so looking at sort of that trifecta and trying to mine and delve into that, especially like from that queer hierarchy perspective as well.
Yeah, that's great. We have one. Was the play written pre Black Lives Matter?
No, but like the play had a first, and this is why plays take years. Like the play had a first draft, which was actually 4 characters and totally different. And then I wrote that and didn't know what it was. And then a year and a half went by before I sort of like clicked into place what I thought the play could be. And then like I cut like 90% of it and then wrote, kept like the kernel of 10%. But no, it's post BLM, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. But definitely you started writing this play before this summer, before sort of the events of George Floyd and everything.
Oh, yeah. I started writing it 2.5 years ago, or 3, maybe, something like that.
Yeah. I don't know the intention of the person who asked that question, whether they meant sort of pre the events of this summer or Black Lives Matter in general. So we also have, if yes, I congratulate on your insight into
yeah, well, it's
yeah.
it's post BLM, but yeah. I mean, as far as like when I started writing it, but
sure.
So I have a lot. Yeah, anyways.
Sure. So have other versions of the play had other characters included? How do you decide who to include beyond the main characters? So you sort of answer that question. Who was the other character in the play?
He's nobody that like even enters into the realm of this world. As far as like,
it was Luke.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Luke. Luke was never a character. It was just this other strange employee who had no idea why he was in this play. I mean, outside of anyway, he just didn't fit in. I think, this is not a helpful answer. The play will tell you who should be in your play. I don't really ascribe. This is a 3-character play, but like I don't tend to ascribe to the thinking of like I need to write a play and make it producible, because I don't know what that is when people tell me that, because I hear that all the time. And but I think the story will like tell you. I mean, clearly I made a choice not to have customers in a play, as versus like if this was a movie, there's realm to like sort of explore like how customers can sort of paint the world for you too, and such. Yeah, but that's an unhelpful answer as far as like the play will tell you.
James, what's our next? Oh, here we go. I'm glad Martin didn't get a tragic ending, but still honest and strong. What went into that decision? Martine, yeah.
Well, I think it's a question about like what feels like the the honest aspect of two souls who I hope we feel are like deeply connected, but also are ignoring aspects of their relationship that come to a head as well. And sort of that notions of like lost love and in a romantic comedy, they would end up together. And this is sort of the inverse of that, and the inverse of sort of the ending of Sleepless in Seattle. But yeah, so it was like trying to think about what is the journey for Martine, and what feels like a strong, honest choice for him about who he's become and where he has ended up and where he is going to go, and how the impact of what happened prior in his life has like informed and caused him to be like who he is too.
And I think we have one more question from the viewers. So how has your journey playwriting and being a playwright been? How do you think playwriting contributes to the world and humanity? Any advice for young playwrights?
Oh man, you're gonna get me emotional. I lose my AirPods. That's good timing. That's about as slick as I usually am. So I don't know, this is going to be like totally probably not a linear answer to those questions. I just think artists have a great ability to like create change, even if that's just in one person, to be challenged. And I think what is our role as human beings? We all have a voice, and how are we using that voice, and what are the ways that us each can express and give lift to our voice, and own the fact that our voice is important no matter who we are, and that the stories that we have to tell and share and the perspectives based on our lives and lived experience are important and vital for creating change and being out in the world and for the generations beyond us versus also the generations that came before us. So I feel like there's like that mandate. And I think one of the things as far as the journey that connects to this is like really thinking about as an artist why we are doing the art that we're doing, and what is the art that we want to create, and what are the rooms that we want to create with that art, and how is that lifting others up at the same time as exploring what you want to explore. And how I think a lot of times, especially from like a writer perspective, it's so like insular because you spend time with like your computer and stuff, and then you get this great fortune at some point to be in a room and around a table working on something that as you've done as a playwright. But I feel like a lot of times it can feel like the industry is trying to push you down as far as like saying, does your voice matter? Is it important? And it's just like a lot of hard work. Not a very small group of playwrights, it happens right away for them. I mean, I've been doing this professionally for a decade now, and it's just like it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot about like the relationships and connections that you form with those people that become your people, that you trust, that support you. And at the same time, you have to understand that like it is a very beautiful community to be a part of, and you are not in competition with each other. And so part of my journey was a realization that I can't measure my success based on development opportunities, based on productions, based on fellowships, or like money that you would commonly define success at, because that's not like why I'm doing this as a writer. But before I realized that, it was like super emotional. It's already a hard enough business to be in, and hard enough to be a writer. And so it wasn't until having to do some thinking about like what was the reason I was a playwright. I don't know, maybe this is making sense, but it's totally like defining what success is for you, and from like where I came with that, because if it's gonna be about like productions and developments or like opportunities, you're gonna have a hard time in the way that I was having a hard time, I think, to some degree. And I think it's more about, at least for me, reframing it about like putting good out into the world and trying to have that journey to create change and use my voice however I can use it in the way that I can use it. And so I would just like look at like how you, as you're starting out, like what is success and how you would define that. Because I have control, we as artists have control over what we are doing with our art, while other things maybe are less in our control.
Yeah. We have to mention the remarkable, as we sort of wrap up our conversation here, we have to mention the remarkable work of the cast that we had do this reading. Philippe, Noah, Craig, Usman, they all rehearsed and filmed this in a day and were so committed and invested in the story. They were rock stars. Andrew, while working on the play and hearing this wonderful cast read it, what are your, like, if you could pick like a major takeaway that you learned from this reading about further development that you wish to do to the play, what would that be?
I mean, one thing is I think that ingrained in the DNA of the play is so much that some of the talking about what the play is about, I think is probably unnecessary at this point. It's like looking at some of that can go away in order to like really deepen even further mining the three characters in the play. You know, so that's one aspect. I mean, like concretely, I'm also sort of like, if I want the end of the play to reflect back on Sleepless in Seattle, why did Sleepless in Seattle not come into the play until like 80 pages into the play? So it's like, oh, well, that's like a moment about like, great, I can look at how that enters in the way that it enters before, or like two things amongst like many.
That's great. So I want to end with a few nice comments that have popped up in the chat. So I missed the beginning, but I can't wait to go back and watch. Great to see you, and so glad I got to experience more of your brilliance, from Susan Vogel. Meg said I had to pause, so I am not finished watching the show, but this is a fantastic story and great acting. We love that. Please finish this. I'm curious where you paused. We all mad at David. Yes, we did, Susan.
By the way, I loved following Susan and AJ's commentary.
And George said still crying. We love that. Excellent. So I want to thank you all for your thoughts. I want to thank Andrew for agreeing to come and chat with us a bit about the play, and thank all of you for joining us for this SigWorks Monday night play reading. All of this is very helpful. Zoom is weird. It is weird to be like right now. It's especially weird because we are literally talking to images of ourselves. Anyway, so Zoom is weird. We wish we were in person. We wish we were engaging with you and hearing your laughter and watching you lean in and really recognizing how the play works in front of an audience. But even in this format, I think Andrew would agree it is helpful for him to hear the play, and it is helpful to hear your feedback. So thank you so much, Andrew, for joining me. I want to tell you a little bit about some of the upcoming things at Signature. The next reading will be a new play by Jaron Davis later this spring. Until then, make sure that you sign up to get all the emails and all of our social media updates about everything that's coming up at Signature. If you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe for our Signature feature season. This includes 5 fully produced shows, professionally filmed in HD, that you're going to be able to watch on any device from the comfort of your home. Go to www.sigtheater.org for more information. And our first film production, Simply Sondheim, is available for the 3 more weeks only. It's really exciting. Here you see Norm Lewis and a remarkable cast of DC regulars have really given us something remarkable. So definitely check that out before it goes away. And then at the beginning of next week, next Tuesday, we are releasing Daniel J. Watts' The Jam Only Child, which is directed by Liliana Blaine Cruz. So definitely make sure to mark your calendars and be sure to buy your streaming tickets to that production as well, or make sure that you buy a subscription so you can see all 5 of these amazing productions. We hope you all stay safe, and thank you again for your continued support to keep Signature strong. Thank you so much, and have a great night.